Oh, now it's being recorded. See, Tom, you wrong for that, man. I didn't even get my shout out on, man.
Well, that's all right.
Good evening, Patrick. Good evening.
Patrick on? Hi, Pat.
No?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Okay.
Hey,
I'm just
Patrick.
sitting back a little to listen to you guys for a little bit.
Hey, we're
We
commending
know that.
you, Patrick. We're giving you some good due accommodations. You're doing a fantastic job. I don't care what people are talking about you, and just keep it up. I'm gonna broadcast your information right there over the radio, man. I'm gonna give you a good deed. Okay.
Okay.
I got to talk to you a little bit about that, Patrick. I want to make sure I do it right for you. This is
We
good
all
money.
really appreciate what you're doing for us, Pat.
Thanks. You know, I need about 8 bags today. All together.
That's area code 267. Please mute yourself.
What?
Like I posted up there last Sunday or whatever it was about this federal banking system, the Federal Reserve, and federal means we the people.
George
Okay.
coming in.
Everything in this country belongs to the people. It don't belong to the corporations. Okay? The constitutional government of this country was not set up as a religion. Okay? But the secondary United States and states of has been set up as a religion founded upon the principles of how the Roman Catholic Church is set up. And a lot of these other churches basically the same way. Okay? Cardinals and archdioceses and all the other garbage that goes along with it. These states are nothing but a church of the religious corporation, the United States, which is in total violation of the First Amendment Bill of Rights. But there shall be no, and that's under the what the hell is it? Establishment Clause.
Mm-hmm.
The provision of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States concerning establishment of religion, the meaning of which is that neither a state nor a federal government can set up a church, neither can pass laws which aid one religion. And they have established a religion, a banking religion, in the process with this 1871 United States and then all the states of out here. They needed the money, okay? Where did they get the money? A bank risked no money. Where do they get the money from? They have to get it from the people, okay? So they had to basically do a fraudulent, let me see, can we get back here to that one? A false instrument, a forged instrument, a counterfeit instrument, an instrument which carries on its face the substance that of which it is counterfeited. Okay? On your Social Security card, you've got two names. Okay? You sign your name down below. Your name is already typed up above.
Right.
And that is a fraudulent assignment. That name up above is basically classified as a signature of the other party in the fraudulent assignment. Therefore, that is a false instrument, a forged instrument. and it's a forged banking instrument. Just like your mortgage contracts. You sign on the right-hand side, and then the bank turns around and puts your name on the left-hand side. That now becomes a forged instrument. Under false pretenses, literally a false representation of the fact or concern calculated to mislead. You essentially gave them the credits by your signature on the right-hand side as the creditor. They turned around and put your name on the other side to fabricate a false instrument with the intent to defraud you. Look up the word forge, to shape by beating particular metal. In law, to fabricate an instrument by intimidation with the intent to defraud. To commit a forgery. Forgery, to constitute forgery. The name, signed, or on writings designed or used as instruments of fraud need not be identical with that of the person whose signature it purports to be, but merely identium solemn, basically meaning sounding the same, and the use of a reconcurrent middle initial not in the simulated signature is not a fatal variance. Now, you go back to false entry. This is what all the banks are doing. This is what the court's doing. This is what this whole fraudulent religious system, banking system is doing out here. Literally, an entry in a book or record which does not speak the truth. A criminal offense by a bank officer or employee in making false entries in reports or statements of the bank with the intent to injure or defraud. I said all along that everything out here is about banking. You need to look at this stuff. And this is a total fraudulent religious banking system. Just like the First National Bank when it was set up in this country. The Treasury Department under Hamilton set up a sub-charter department of the Treasury, okay, so that basically they could turn around and transfer we the people's tariff taxes that were owed to the Treasury, the residue that was left over after the government had claimed their expenses out of the tariff taxes. Instead of deposited into the Treasury, it was now being deposited into this First National Bank. That's what they did with the Federal Reserve banks and the People's Reserve banks. They took our assets that were supposed to be being deposited into our Treasury and put them into these foreign banks. Then they went bankrupt. They spent all that. They needed to have more access to the people's funds. So they set up this fraudulent banking system of using the Social Security account to draw an additional funds out of the Treasury in each individual person's account, setting up off-budget accounts and then in more domain accounts and then holding them offshore in Puerto Rico. You're operating out here under a false religion in violation of the Constitution. You're operating under more domains, which are in violation of the statutes out here. laid down by the Constitution. And then, basically, you're out here worshiping a false religion. You have to stand up and basically identify yourself that you are not going to go along with this fraudulent religion. And that's all it is. It's a fraudulent religion. We can prove it, but we have to take it into an ecclesiastical court. Because what is a false religion? The term, basically, that has been used down through the ages has been a heresy. The ecclesiastical offense of entertaining religious views or beliefs which are not in harmony with those of the established church, the entertainment of an erroneous religious belief, any political or view contrary to the established view. This secondary chartered banking charter, 1871, United States and all the states of, they are contrary to the established constitutional view. Just the same way that the Roman Catholic Church is contrary to the Church of Rome. Same thing with the Methodist Church. Same thing with the Presbyterian. Same thing with the Baptist. Same thing with the Jehovah's Witness. Same thing with the Mormons. Same thing with the Amish. They all have contrary views that have deviated from the Church of Rome. They started putting their own twist onto everything. And then hold the people bound to those beliefs. That's the main problem that's going on out here. You have to come in with your baptismal certificate, basically because that was laid down by the Church of Rome. Even though your baptismal certificate might be from a Baptist, a Methodist, a Presbyterian, a Roman Catholic, it don't make any difference. That is one of the core items under the Church of Rome. To establish the fact that you are a living entity and that you have a right of inheritance here on earth. And you have the right to set off all debts. The ecclesiastical system is not recorded in the Constitution because it stands over the Constitution. An ecclesiastical offense is a heresy, like I said, and then you can read what it says about heresy. An erroneous religious belief. Erroneous, a wrong. Then you can read the establishment clause in the that's in the dictionary about the First Amendment. People argue every other amendment out there, they need to stick to the First Amendment to basically take down this false religious church out here, that they have no jurisdictional control over us unless we give it to them. And then we have the right to go to an ecclesiastical court because we have to go to a court that stands over the constitutions. not one that stands under, because the ones standing under the Constitution are corporation courts. You're not a corporation. You're an ecclesiastical officer, a person in the hierarchy of control in the church, known as a dignitary, if of a rank superior to that of a priest or a canon. A canon is one who takes collections. Okay? And basic canological impediments, the personal relationship or defects which under the ecclesiastical law render voidable a marriage. Okay, a marriage is basically a contract. Okay, so you got to do a little reading between the line on that one. Dignitary, a person of importance. Okay? And then, let's see, where in the hell was it? An elector. Okay? A person having constitutional and statutory qualifications which entitle him to vote, including not only one who votes, but one who is qualified, yet fails to exercise the right of suffrage. Suffrage is the right to vote. Suffrage is not the privilege to vote, as basically the banking corporations lead you to believe that we can give you a privilege out here and let everybody in their unsound mind vote. That includes women in the unsound mind, and the 18-year-olds, the 21-year-olds, unsound minds. They haven't fully grown up. And I'm sorry to say, women, but basically you're off your rockers about 1 week out of the month, whether you like it or not. You're supposed to be standing behind your man. Any woman that goes into court, and I've said this, I don't know how many times, the only thing you say is, I stand by the Book of Ruth, and shut up. You women stop trying to tell other people what to do. You tell them where you stand. You stand under the Book of Ruth. You want to be out there like the men, you're going to get knocked down, just like most of the men have been knocked down over the years. Now, we have been operating under identity theft all along by these bankers. They've been operating in fraudulent and false instruments. When you can read these things and understand them, now you have to put this together. And basically it's under a false religion. And they cannot create a false religion. You have to take this into an ecclesiastical court that you can put your claims into the inspector generals about this fraudulent identity theft out here, that they have taken your identity away from you. These courts do not have jurisdiction over you. You've got to have that baptismal certificate in hand. Basically, here is my documentation that I am a citizen of the Church of Rome. The Constitution of this country was founded upon the principles of the Bible, the lawful principles, not the Jezebel banking principles that the second Constitution or United States out here and all these other countries like England, the secondary English country or nation is operating under, or France, or any of these others. They're all operating under the same scenario. They set up a false religion in the system of government. We have to start shutting them down appropriately, but it's got to be on a one-to-one basis in the process until enough people get established that we can go in and take out the whole thing. National government, the federal government of the United States, the government of a single nation united as a community by what is termed the social compact, and possessing complete and perfect supremacy over persons and things, so far as they can be made lawful objects of civil government. Oh, you're being made a lawful object. An object, a material thing, anything tangible, visible, or capable of discernment by the senses. A material thing. So, you're a material thing. Things. Inanimate objects. Boy, they really knocked the shit out of you. Right of things. Such rights as a man may acquire. See, you've got to see all the trickery, and the only place you're going to find this is in the dictionaries. Nowhere else, not in their codes. Their codes will confuse the living shit out of you because they can't even understand their own damn codes. You've got to know the real law, the truth. Just like in the movie, A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. And that's the problem with most people. They cannot handle the truth. Because they think it's going to hurt too much. That's because they don't understand the truth. Because they don't understand the words. That whole thing about setting up the Federal Reserve banks, the We the People banks, was all for the benefit of the corporations to access our treasury account that nobody was primarily using, so the corporation said, well, we'll use it. Because the people didn't understand how the damn system was all set up. They never believed the Bible to begin with, that they had an inheritance. They thought they were all supposed to be dumb shits going out and working and busting their ass and then crawling in a grave and giving it all up. thought that's what life was all about. Well, I'm here to tell you that ain't what life was about here on earth. We were supposed to have our heaven on earth when you came of age and start understanding the system. These corporations will try just about every trick in the book to deny you your right to set off any bill and everything out here. You need to go in and basically submit these bills. If they're not going to set them off, you turn around, you send them into that Kansas City or Philadelphia financial center, but you better come in and you better know how to claim your rights as an ecclesiastical state member, and that you are one of the people that stands over the Constitution, and that you also stand over any false religions in this country. And that basically this whole fraudulent United States Religious Corporation and subsidiary state of churches operating under the control of the foreign bankers by mob rule of extended illegal terms of office for those in Congress, start standing up, start exposing the truth. There's a lot of people out here that know there's something wrong, but they can't put their finger on it. Try and tell them to start with their nose. Start sniffing it out. When you smell shit, it's shit. And that's what this whole system, it stinks to high heaven. Because it's all contrary to the initial constitution of the country and of the states, to where we the people stood over those state charters, those corporations. We do not stand under them. You have to consent to be under them. And then basically you're volunteering to be an indentured servant. And even that is a fraud in itself, because nobody in their right mind would ever be an indentured servant. So there is no real term of voluntary servitude. It's all involuntary in some form or manner, which is in total violation of the 13th and the 15th Amendments. These courts out here, and basically, they know, some of them do know, that they're in total violation of Section 3 of that 14th Amendment. And that they're also in violation of the 4th Amendment in the process, but you have to come in and you have to suppress. Otherwise, you are a complicit party to the action. And a complicit party is just as guilty as the original party that performed the illegal acts. So you have to make your statement, your standing known to them. And there's only one document out here that gives you your true identity, that you are a living American individual, and that is your baptismal certificate. The birth certificate basically can either be for a dead person or a living person. It says, was the child born alive or was he born dead? So in a lot of cases, these corporate, fraudulent religious corporation out here and state churches operate those as death certificates for everybody. They don't make the separation. But with a baptismal certificate, they cannot override that one. Even though some of these fraudulent courts that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground will try and do that. But it's only because in a lot of cases, people get into those courts, try and use that, and then they keep running their goddamn mouth off. You got to know when to speak and when to shut up. And you got to put them under questions to where they have to answer to you. You don't have to answer to them. Act like you're the one that's in control. In a lot of cases, they won't be able to answer your questions. So basically, silence is basically an acknowledgement that you're right. I've been having problems with my computers for the last 3 or 4 days, trying to get a new computer built back up here, and programs and everything else on it. So basically, that's why I haven't got too much out here recently, and got anything out in the mail either. But hopefully, I've got it pretty well straightened out now, and get back online. There are viruses out here that basically are coming through your internet providers and lodging, and not in necessarily in your computer, but they're lodging in your router, your Wi-Fi router in the process, and then basically the viruses can come out of the Wi-Fi router into your computer or to any other instrument that you hook up into that Wi-Fi router, whether it be a phone, whether it be a printer, or anything else. So that's just a word of warning.
Is that what happened
to you? That might be why some of you people have had problems with your computers recently.
Do you think that that's what happened with you, Patrick, as your router got infected?
Yeah, and it cost me about $450, and a guy or an outfit out of India to try and straighten it out.
Okay.
Patrick, how can they clean your computer in India unless they are the ones putting the virus up? They got to know how to use the code.
You have to basically relinquish control of the computer over to them, and let them go in and scope everything out all the way through your router down to your computer. And there's a lot of garbage out here in a lot of these different programs, just like the United States and state of church religion. There's a lot of garbage out here that people have bought into that is destructive as hell. Yes, I asked that question to them, okay? And basically said, okay, how come all of a sudden I get this notice on this that I've got this virus here, and they went through the whole detail about how it comes about and gets involved into the router system and everything. And so, hey, some of these foreigners basically are better than the people here in this country. They take a little more pride in work ethics to where the Americans have given up their work ethics to these false religious organizations. Enough said on that.
Patrick.
Yeah.
You said that you were sent a web page saying you were under viral attack, and a call.
I basically tried to open up my web browser, and all of a sudden, in my web page there, basically it sort of locked up my computer, and I couldn't get out of that browser. I was using Opera, and then I called up this phone number over there, and basically I found out it was in India, and basically talked to them, and they explained to me the situation of what's going on here. So more of this is probably going to be going on.
Patrick.
Yeah.
It happened to me. But since I'm privy to a lot of information about computers and about people who love to mess with other people, I just told the man, I says, hold on, stay on the line. I have a tap coming into the line here. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. As long as you don't click that second button, you'll be fine, but you probably already clicked it. But they will hurry up and get off your line. I was just telling them I was having a wiretap. And this guy got off the phone so fast. I said, don't leave. Where are you going? So that whatever it is, I think it's a worm. They put it into a web page, and when you it just flies in on you. It just comes in. You click a page, and boom, takes over the screen, takes over your. You can't do anything, right? That's what happened to you.
Yeah. Well, basically, when I was watching them as they removed a lot of the stuff, and I mean there was buku amount of garbage that had been downloaded into that brand new computer. I don't know where it all came from.
They put it there.
Okay. But I mean, there was web pages and different things that had, when I was downloading other programs and trying to get these new programs that I turned around and just bought loaded into the system, and so I saw all this garbage being taken off, and I knew damn well that half that shit was really, I never put it on there, so I don't know where it came from.
They put it on there, man.
Well, they can't put all that much shit on. Basically, my internet provider is so slow that basically it would have taken 20 days to put that much damn garbage onto my computer.
They set you up, Patrick. What I'm trying to tell you is I've seen this for some time now. It's something that I'm trying to set those Indians up. And
I really don't care. If they want some money out of me, I'll give it to them, okay? They probably need it more than I need it over here. I know where the real money's at over here, so I'll go after these damn frauds over here. If they want to rip me off a little, I'll let them, okay?
Well, you're one way on that.
I did it, okay? I gave them permission. I basically knew that I might be being had, and I said, I don't really give a shit. Here, if you want to rip me off, go ahead. But I'll get it in the end, okay? From these other frauds out here, the bigger frauds that are really destroying the world.
Clean your registry out, man.
Okay, I don't need to argue about a little frog out here. I'm after the damn big frogs that are out here gobbling up all the shit. So, enough said about that. Now, back to the real substance that we need to talk about, okay? Does anybody have any questions, any comments, any rebuttals, whatever?
Patrick, I have a question.
Okay.
I went and checked, and the chief judge for the Oregon U.S. District Court is a lady. Is that going to pose a problem when I need to do something for the chief judge for Ecclesiastical Court?
Yes. You've got to go to an Article 3 judge.
Okay.
She's not an Article 3 judge.
If I just send it in to the district court and address it to an Article 3 court, is that how I do that then?
I would. Basically, you want an ecclesiastical court judge, okay?
Yeah.
That's what you really need to address it for. You want an federal ecclesiastical court judge.
Right. Okay. All right, that makes sense.
And then if that don't work, then you'll go to the circuit court, okay?
Right. Okay.
And you may end up having over the circuit court, you may have a female also, because there's a couple of females on the Supreme Court, but basically there again, there has to be some lawful man on that court, because a woman cannot be a judge over a man, period.
Now,
not in this country.
The former chief judge for Oregon, U.S. judge, he is considered a senior judge, and I guess a senior judge means that they're somewhat retired. So I wonder if, when I send it in for the ecclesiastical court, if he would be the one that would take it. I guess it really doesn't make any difference.
More than likely, that could be the case.
Right.
The senior judges basically could be the ones that are going to be holding these ecclesiastical courts.
Oh, well then, no problem then.
See, they're in there for life.
Right.
But they screwed up the whole damn judicial system in this country in 1938 under this fraudulent religious government and state governments, or state churches. The national church and the state churches.
Right.
All in total violation of the First Amendment. And then they got everybody out here believing that they're a valid government. And then, like I said, they're operating under fraudulent instruments in the process, banking instruments, because they're all operating as bankers. Even the police officers are basically operating as banking officials because they're writing securities. Go ahead.
How is the best way to recognize a de jure government official? In other words, somebody that's going to help us and that isn't.
You have to ask them.
Okay. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Ask and you shall receive, the old saying goes.
Yep.
Don't ask me. I've got to ask them too.
Okay.
I will go in there demanding this action from them, and that if they aren't capable of doing it, basically I say, well, what is your stance? If you're not able to handle my demand, who are you working for? Can I file charges against you in an ecclesiastical court for heresy? We are the elders. When you turn 25, you're an elector, okay? And then you're an elder in the church of Rome. An elder brethren, in the definition of the Bible, they didn't have just elder. An elder brethren, a name which is applied to the masters of Trinity House. Trinity basically is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or the Holy Spirit. In America, UCC corporate law system, a man is the master of his Trinity house if he has his three spiritual persons, his individual banker EIN person, his estate person, and his foreign grantor trust EIN person. EIN, Ecclesiastical, individual, numbered, corporate persons. There is more meanings to that E and the I in EIN than you know what to do with. And they use it all for their benefit. Their deception. Saying, oh, this is the only way it can be used here. No, it can be used as an employer's identification number. It can be used as an employee's identification number. It can be used as an ecclesiastical, individual, numbered, corporate person. We are the master. We can make the rules that are superior to their rules. Superior to their corporation's rules. A corporation cannot rule over an individual person unless they are an employee of that corporation or an officer of that corporation. And that means you are either an inhabitant or a resident of the corporation. An inhabitant is an officer. A resident is an employee. You are a domicile or a dignitary of the United States of America. You came from the land. You didn't come from no stinking corporation. The corporations cannot operate without the power of man, just like what was proved out in the movie Matrix. They need our substance, our assets, for them to function. When Neo saw the light, he basically was able to shut down and do a suppression of his being involved into the system any longer. Because they kept trying to claim him into the system. You can study all of this in the Bible about numerous times, probably about 15, 20 times in the Bible, about how the bankers came in and took control of everything and put the people in a state of involuntary servitude. Our founding fathers were a lot smarter than most nitwits out here today, patriot nitwits. Give them credit. Trying to say that, well, the founding fathers only did it for their benefit. That's bullshit. I'm sick of hearing that damn lie. That's because people don't really know the truth and they can't handle the truth, so they just continue to spread a lie because it's easier to do that. You pick up the phone, you start claiming all this fraud that is taking place, identity theft and fraud in the process, with the Postal Inspector General, with the Justice Department Inspector General, with Social Security Inspector General. There is a Social Security Inspector General in Philadelphia. I'm going to have to call him up and say, hey, I basically sent a document back to them ordering the release of my credits for $2.5 million. Where in the hell are they? I've sent several things out to the IRS. I'm going to have to call up the Inspector General of the IRS and claim banking fraud also in that process. We, the people in this country, owe no taxes. The taxes belong to us. We have to stop paying the taxes for the corporations. They have been living high on the hog off of our ignorance for years. Okay. Open the lines, Tom.
So, Patrick, how does that call go to the Inspector Generals? You just call the 800 number and you claim fraud? Are there any key words that you need
better
to say?
study the words so you know how to address the fraud that is being perpetrated upon you. I gave you several words tonight, okay?
Right.
You need to go and look those up. You need to know about that establishment clause, that basically this fraudulent United States out here is forcing you into a false religion. And you do not comply with that false religion any longer, and you will bring charges in against them in an ecclesiastical court. Let them know. You're not going to go to their bullshit courts and try and get remedy, because you're not going to get remedy in their bullshit courts. Just like I never got any remedy out of the Roman Catholic Church. It's a false church. They're out there deceiving the people. The Methodists, the Presbyterians, they're all out there to try and control the people. They're not operating under the Church of Rome laws. They're trying to suppress the people. And any religion that suppresses the rights of the people to have free choice and beliefs is a false religion.
Okay. So if we do get blown off by the Inspector Generals, we just have the ecclesiastical court. So
yeah,
I guess we just go through the motion of calling the Inspector General. If we get blown off, we go to the judge next.
Well, you may not get blown off. Harold and I didn't get blown off when we complained about fraud. We got remedy right now. Okay. But the Social Security Administration will still try and put fraudulent documents out to you, trying to claim that you're getting a benefit.
Right.
Yeah. Everything that they try and send out. Social Security benefit statement. Well, that's total bullshit. Those are my assets to begin with. That ain't no fucking benefit. That's my entitlement. It's not a benefit. The only one that's getting a benefit is the corporations from the usage of our shit, and then trying to get us to pay their taxes for them by claiming that we're the beneficiary when we're not. We're the owner. How can the owner be the beneficiary? He can't. See the fraud? I'm asking a question. Do you see the fraud?
I see the fraud, Patrick.
Okay. You always ask a question in the process, too. Am I going to get remedy? Are you going to answer me? Or do I have to take this to a higher and basically levy charges against you for denying me my rights? No need for that. Put them on the hot seat. You can do the same thing in a court. Oh, you're operating as a false religion. Go ahead and let me have that. What gives you the right over man? Living man. I show you my proof, my identity. As far as I know, the only thing that you, as a valid court, can be would be as if I caused injury to somebody or damage to some property. Where have I caused injury or harm?
In my day, we would have done needed to get done. Yeah, I'm pretty much aware of that.
Who's the injured party? Bring him forward. And it ain't no damn stinking we the people of the state of Iowa or whatever. Operating under a fraudulent bar attorney. A liar from the get-go. Because that's all a bar attorney is. They couldn't tell the truth if the truth was standing right in front of them. Of course, most of these judges basically were ex-prosecuting attorneys too. So the judges don't even know, the ones that are in there now. They're out there just to make a buck.
What about how the banks hold us to a mortgage?
What?
How do we get around this mortgage? The bank has us held to a mortgage.
You have to know that it is a forged instrument. You signed on the right-hand side. How come your name appears on the left-hand side of that mortgage contract, becoming the debtor in that contract? Because it's your fictional person under a fraudulent assignment that is now holding your credits that you released to the bank, but the bank don't want the credits right now. They want to have them put over in this fraudulent assignment person so that they can turn around and write bonds and make an additional profit off of it and then claim that you never made payment in the process when you did. You gave them the credits right from the get-go.
That's why, hey, Patrick, that's why they make us sign a promissory note when you go on to sign for a house. So you sign it twice. You're paying for it once, and then you're going to pay for it again.
Yeah. Well, that's another contract. That's the authorization for them to be able to go and write bonds against that.
Right.
But,
correct.
They type your name in on the left-hand side. So you don't sign on the left-hand side of that mortgage contract.
And like you were saying about those judges, they have what is called a discretionary fund. Every time they send somebody to jail, they're getting paid. That's why the judges are the bankers, because everybody they send to jail, they're getting money from discretionary funds.
They're banking agents, and basically that's what I said in the one definition there about where in the hell was that? False entry. Okay? Look up the word definition of false entry. Literally, an entry in a book or record which does not speak the truth. Okay? That says a lot right there. Next sentence. A criminal offense by a bank officer or employee, okay, in making false entries in reports or statements of the bank with the intent to injure or defraud. Every one of their mortgages was a false entry with the intent to injure and defraud you. That court is operating the same way. Those judges and those clerks of the court basically are bank officers, banking officers, state banking officers. And the cops and the sheriff's department deputies and stuff like that, they're employees of the bank, of this fraudulent religious bank that's out here. State of church, religion, bank. Like I've said before, everything is about banking. Everything out here. It's all about money. You have to know what money really is and how they fraudulently use this false money for them to make a profit and to control and injure you. And see, when some people have confronted the judge in enough of a knowledgeable manner, these judges do know that they're committing a criminal offense. And they just shut down the case. The people think they won. But no, in a lot of cases, they're still using your assets in the back room. They just gave up and weren't going to press the issue of trying to get money out of your back pocket at the same time. They're still making a profit off you. But they're not going to double dip. And these other bankers out here are triple dipping and everything else because you gave them the credits. The credits are still being held in the bank there. The bank can turn around and pick those up as later on as abandoned funds, credits. You've been paying in out of your back pocket into the mortgage the whole time. And then if you miss a payment or two, basically they come and confiscate the house away from you. And then they turn around and resell it. When they didn't risk shit to begin with.
Basically, we can actually stop a foreclosure if we prove the false entry. Is that correct?
Yes. And if this court won't take care of it properly, you can file criminal charges, offense, against that court and take this on up to an ecclesiastical court. See, this is the woman that basically wanted to divide the child in half back in King Solomon's time. That's what these bankers and these courts are doing. They're operating the same way that damn woman was in that court case in front of King Solomon. But King Solomon knew when the real mother was willing to sacrifice and give up the child so that the child would not be killed, he knew who the real owner of that child was. You have to prove that you're the real owner and that they have come in under fraudulent assignments and are holding the credits in the process within their confines of the bank, and that they refuse to allow those credits to make the payment. Therefore, they're the ones that are committing the fraud from the very get-go. And their intent was to harm you. Now, when a bank harms you, basically the injury settlement can be 3 times in your favor.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Patrick, man, it seems to me, it's even more simpler than that. I mean, all you have to do is just claim the vessel and just be done with all the bullshit, man. You know, once you have control of your own vessel, that's all that need to be said and done. That's the end of the game right there. What's up? I mean, the bank and the accounting, them making the forensic accounting of their accounts is secondary.
Yeah, but we have to get into that federal ecclesiastical court, okay? Because it's got to be under a court order, acknowledged court order, an ecclesiastical court order. And see, the ecclesiastical courts in this country are not listed under the Constitution. That means they're over the Constitution. And see, the Constitution of these states and of this country were written and founded upon the laws in the Bible. Okay? The 10 Commandments, basically, of banking.
How about the probate court?
No. Probate court is another one that's listed under the damn Constitution. Is it not?
You still saying a higher probate court versus a higher probate court? It's still probate courts, especially.
No, it isn't. A probate court, basically, there is no probate court in the ecclesiastical side. The probate courts are basically all in the world of the dead. Okay?
That's right.
You're in the world of the living. You claim your living inheritance, not your dead inheritance. Your funds that are under that mortmain account are basically your living assets. They belong to you in your living capacity. They're your living inheritance that were fraudulently moved over into a dead coffin and tried to bury them so that they could operate in the world of the dead, the corporate world. You have to bring them back to life.
That's right, by showing life. That's simple enough in itself.
Yeah, you go to the ecclesiastical court.
You know that should make all the property after that should all the assets go back to the living person, the sole survivor, if you will.
Right, and then we'll still have to come into the Federal Reserve, to the We the People's Reserve Bank, because they're holding the tariff taxes in that bank, and so we have to come in and put our receipts in to claim those taxes back. Those tariff taxes. It's not income tax, it's tariff tax. There is no tax form for the tariff taxes. Basically, we have to put the claim into the port of entry under basically our warehouse receipts. And that's really what those receipts that you get are, warehouse receipts against the tariff taxes that are being held in the Federal Reserve banks or the We the People's banks in the off-budget account that is sitting there as the excess tariff taxes that are there. If we don't claim them, these fraudulent bankers that have never risked nothing, like the Bushes and the Clintons and basically the Warburgs and the Rothschilds and everything else, will come in and claim those in the process. And they never risk anything in the process. Okay, any other comments?
When we do the receipts, when we send those into Kansas City or Philadelphia, I just have a couple questions on that. When we write the guarantor on them, do we write all capital letter or do we write proper case for our name?
Whatever your name is, how you want to do it on your Social Security card.
So we do it per the Social Security card and we put dashes in the number.
Yeah. However you want to do it, all capitals or whatever.
And then in your draft, in your documents, you have everything. Should we just change? You have it pointing towards your Treasury Direct account. Should we just change the language to ask for a cashier's check?
To wherever you want it directed to. Okay, you want a Treasury check? You want a Treasury check. You want to put into your non-interest bearing checking account? Have it put there.
Okay, so we could just have it. Send it.
Yeah, you modify that. That is just an example. Do you people understand what the word example means? It's not something that's laid down hard and fast. You can modify it to your situation.
Okay, so I could just take a personal check, put the routing and account number on there, and in that document in lieu of the Treasury Direct, and
yes,
it'll probably be there. Okay. And then another thing on your signature lines, you'll write Patrick Devine Fiduciary, and then have like a 47 number. Is that for the estate EIN when you write fiduciary on the signature?
You can either put your estate EIN or your individual banker EIN person. Either one of them are authorized representatives over that account.
Okay.
Don't use your foreign grantor trust person.
So do not use your foreign grantor trust. Okay.
No, that is only to be used against the Treasury.
When you say against the Treasury, what do you mean? That's when
I'm talking about the federal Treasury, the We the People's Treasury of this country. Okay? Mm-hmm. The depositories out here, where the real gold and silver is located.
Okay, so that's later. That's after we see the Men in Black that we actually use that foreign grantor trust.
Yes, and you will probably still have to take your claiming instruments, whether it's a DD-214 or a birth certificate. You will have to fill out that for so much value, and you'll probably still have to run back up there to that federal ecclesiastical court so that the court can issue a warrant to the treasurer of the country, so that the treasurer can basically have the funds pulled out or the assets pulled out of the treasury and converted into lawful currency. Make the adjustment. But it's got to be done by a warrant, and you can't issue the warrant.
Okay.
That's why it's got to go through that ecclesiastical court.
I have a question.
Yes.
How could I take over my Section 8 voucher contract?
Your what?
My Section 8 voucher contract. It's a government
Section
contract. 8? Yes. Housing assistant, HUD.
Well, basically put a claim into the Social Security Administration and say you want to borrow so much money out of your damn account. Shut down that other deal and basically turn around and send it in. Say, hey, I released the credits for this HUD contract.
Okay.
For full settlement and for full payment. Just release the credits from your Social Security off budget, mortgage off shore account. And then put that into the Social Security Administration, either in, I would do the one in Philadelphia, or to the Philadelphia Finance Center, and then basically have the Inspector General of in Philadelphia there, if it doesn't get settled within the 5 days when you're coming in under UCC Section 5108 for settlement, and they don't comply, then you can complain about the fraud per Section 5109.
Also, I tried to retrieve my children's birth, how would you say it, my post-delivery discharge instructions and also the birth certificate worksheet, and they told me that they don't hold those records more than 10 years, which sounds pretty fishy to me.
You don't need to worry about those. Like I said, the only document you need to really get, you have a birth certificate at the Bureau of Vital Statistics, okay? If you don't have one, you need to get your child registered, because that is registering them as a lawful claimant against the Treasury of the country. That's all that birth certificate is doing. Okay, it's not doing anything else. It's putting an inheritance claim against that Treasury account, that depositary. Now, you will need to get the baptismal certificate for those children so that they have the right to set off any debts that are out here. And that shows that you are the living individual and that you have a copyright over your name. And that anything after that these corporations, these police officers, when they write your name on a traffic ticket, they're writing your name down as the guarantor and then getting you to be signing the release down at the bottom to release the credits over to the guarantor that's the name up at the top of the instrument under a fraudulent assignment, just the same way that they do with the mortgages, just the same way they do with the certificate of title to the vehicle, you name it. They're all operating in the same fraudulent way. The Social Security card, they type your name on there, and then they get you to sign down below. You're signing as the assignee, and they give you a sign or is the all-capital name person or the name that's at the top of that Social Security card. And that they are operating that as a fraudulent assignment. You're assigning the credits by your signature as a letter of credit release, and then your fraudulent person is holding the credits for the benefit of the corporations, because the corporations don't want those credits right now. They want to write bonds and everything against them so that they can make a profit. They're hiring out those credits for hire, and for profit. Read the definitions in the dictionary about that.
Also, I got my PS Form 3877 from the mail, post office.
Well, I don't know what that is, so.
You mentioned it in one of your blog talks. It's a firm mailing book for accountable mail. It's where you.
Well, I've probably mentioned a lot of these forms, and basically I've given up on every one of these forms because forms are only for fictions, and I stopped playing around with the fictions, trying to give them form. They have no form. They're spirits, and basically that's why, as long as they say spirits, there's only one court that can handle these things in the spirit world, and that is the Ecclesiastical court.
Okay. This is something that you use to register your mail, to document your registered mail.
Now, I don't know what it was, okay?
Okay.
I'm not going to worry about it. Forget about it, okay? It's not needed.
All right. Thank you.
Patrick, I have a question for you. I wonder what would happen hypothetically if, knowing what we know now, and we went into the bank to put our autographs on their paperwork, and we told them that we want to put our autograph on the left-hand side of the paper. I wonder what would happen.
They're not going to comply with you, okay? Now, if you've got a mortgage, you get a payoff bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I want a complete payoff for this mortgage.
Okay.
And then basically you release the credit. But you get that bill from them. You basically do the release of the credits, scan a copy of that, because you may end up having to take this up to one of these postal inspectors or even to the FBI, the federal banking inspectors, and let the FBI come down there upon that bank for the fraud that they're complicit with. Same thing with a court action. You call up those inspector generals, and basically they may turn around, and most of those inspector generals are working for the Justice Department. Who does the FBI work for? The Justice Department. Not the Department of the Justice, but the Justice Department in actuality. At least the FBI is, because basically they have "we the people" in front of their name as federal.
Right.
See, there were some protections that were established for the benefit of the people out here. Okay, that's why they hated J. Edgar Hoover as much as they did, and badmouthed him as much as they did. When the bankers and everybody else out here, and even though you didn't know that the bankers were the ones that were putting out all the fraudulent information and badmouthing J. Edgar Hoover, it was really the bankers that were putting the false information out, and the people gobbled it up, especially the patriots in the process, and went along with it.
Did I miss something? You told her to get a payoff agreement, and what did she do with that?
A complete.
You basically, you endorse it, okay, guarantor, okay, and put your Social Security number on there, and then credits released, okay, from, and you can put more information if you want on there, from your Federal Reserve, off budget, monomain, offshore account. And then basically that's your Social Security account number. And basically they have 5 days to make that banking transaction, or you will basically file fraud charges banking fraudulence against them per section UCC. And you're doing this per UCC section 5108. And then if they don't comply within the 5-day rule, 5 banking days of settlement, then basically you will file charges against them under UCC section 5109. And take that into an ecclesiastical court, and basically an attorney can't come into that court. So basically it's going to be a win-win situation for you in the process. You'll be able to take the witness stand. There'll be no counter witness to take the stand. But you have to know when you go into that court how to prove that you are the living person. You have to have your baptismal certificate and everything else to prove that you are the living person out here and you are not a corporate person and you're coming in under your rights per the Expatriation Act and also per your per the 14th Amendment, Section 4, first sentence in Section 4, to where you're going to suppress this fraudulent banking, insurrection, and rebellion. You have to start getting to the point where you can rattle this shit off just like what I just did. And I'm not looking at anything. I know it all in my mind now. I've said it too many times. And then you got to speak with confidence when you do this. Because if you use confidence and a little force behind it, when you do that, basically they ain't going to try and rebut you. They'll say, hey, this guy knows what the shit he's talking about.
I heard something in passing one time where someone had a house foreclosed, and there was a way, I don't know what it was, that this person could get that house back or get the money back or something.
Yes. You take it into, you claim that there was fraud in the process. You have to know how the fraudulent banking system worked with the mortgage to begin with, that the bank never loaned any money to begin with. Where did they get the assets? They cannot make something out of nothing, period. You had to give them the credits to begin with. They just didn't utilize the credits. They put them off in another account, and then they turned around and wrote bonds so that they could hire those credits out and make a profit off the hiring of those credits.
Yeah, Mom, I heard you, Mom. I heard.
And that is banking fraud from the worst scenario there ever could be. That's what Julius Caesar was totally against. But Brutus and his banking cohorts came in and killed him. Just like they did with JFK, just like they did with Garfield, just like they did with Lincoln. They tried to do it with Jackson, but he lucked out. And basically both guns misfired, which is totally unheard of. But I think it was on a wet day, so basically the powder was a little wet.
So, Patrick, since we can use UCC in these ecclesiastical courts, how about using the 9-210, the verification of account? I've heard of that, of people trying to use that, but you can't really get the UCC into a regular court.
You can put that into basically the Kansas City or the Philadelphia Finance Center, primarily the Philadelphia Finance Center.
Okay.
The only thing you can get out of the Kansas City Finance Center, from what we found out, is to set off and pay bills. Everything else has to be processed through the Philadelphia Finance Center.
Everything. Thank you.
Okay, if you want extra Social Security payments or anything like that, you've got to process them through that Philadelphia office. The funds in that Social Security account belong to you. Do you understand that? That Social Security card belongs to you. That account belongs to you. You have the right to claim it. But you have to claim it in the right capacity. And then if they try and deprive you, basically that's a violation of the law too. Deprivation of your rights, protected by the Constitution under Section 9, and your powers under Section 10. And then the fraudulent forcing you into a false religion in violation of Section 1. The rest of the first 10 amendments will fall into place when you understand that. Especially the very first one. How can they take your gun rights away from you? Well, that's because they've got you operating under a false religion, thinking that they have the power to take your guns away from you. They have the power to take your right of vote away from you if you were thrown in the clink into a federal prison on a trumped-up charge. The fraud of holding you in a parole situation. When you were released from prison, that means your debt was paid. So what the hell is this goddamn parole bullshit? It's another fraudulent banking system to try and make money off of you. You got to get rid of these damn fraudulent churches and religions out here. Okay, anybody else have any comments?
Yes. You think a blood test or a blood work could help with the being natural or being?
No. I've done that.
Okay.
Okay? I've done everything basically out here at one time or another. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I got a blood donor's card and basically I had that and tried to use that in the damn process saying, here, I'm the living person. That don't cut it.
Wow.
The only thing that basically valid document that is out here is that baptismal certificate, because you can only baptize the dead. You can always take blood work from a dead person.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even though the heart's not pumping, they can still suck blood out of you.
Yeah, you're right.
But the baptismal certificate is the only document that is out here, because you cannot baptize the dead.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely right, Patrick. That's the whole point of this. You cannot baptize the dead.
Right.
So,
and that's stated numerous times, even by some of the popes and by some of the kings in England. Basically, they were going to get baptized on their deathbed, so basically they had all their sins forgiven so they could go to heaven. Well, basically they died before they could get baptized.
Okay, yeah, but what I'm trying to illustrate is that if the whole system is based on the dead entity, then you cannot go to the dead entity and ask it for life.
Right.
I mean, man, so you just claim the freaking vessel and just end this bullshit, man. It's simple.
Yeah. Even though a lot of these fraudulent churches are operating out there, they have to comply just like the states do. They have to. The states and the nation has to comply with the UCC. The UCC is copyrighted and controlled by the Church of Rome. Okay? It's the universal Christian codes of law, of just banking laws, to forgive the debts or the sins, the original sins, the original contracts that you basically initiated, to allow the funds to be properly transferred in the process instead of going into a fraudulent held mortmain account. That these fraudulent churches established, and then England brought into it, and then basically it brought it over into the banking system under the 1871 false religion that was basically being set up in this country. And all the false religions or churches, state churches, in the process.
Yeah.
Patrick, hi, this is Mary.
Yeah.
Speaking about fraudulent churches, I just remembered that the Latter-day Saints do a baptism for the dead by proxy.
Well, see, that's not right. They can't.
That's like part of their saving their family line. And I'm wondering if a lot of the Mormons are in legal positions, and I wonder if they're doing something to access old credits. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
Well, yeah. See, the fraudulent churches, and see that Mormon church is a fraudulent church. It's not a Church of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a full-fledged Church of Rome. They've deviated from a lot of the truths, but the one truth that they have to have, and they have to maintain it, is that they have to a baptism of the living. Okay? Now, if they deviate from that and are giving baptism to the dead, then basically that is another fraud that people can go against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's part of their doctrine. They baptize the dead by proxy from the living. So, boy.
Yeah. See, the church is then trying to claim that inheritance for the church itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they ain't going to give it to the people. They're going to claim it for their own benefits. And see, that's a fraudulent document.
My.
Round table.
Yeah, and it's a fraudulent banking document. And basically those religious leaders are basically bankers in the process, because what are they? 501c3 bankers.
Right. All right. Thanks, Pastor.
You want me to break anything else down? I'm a breaker.
Patrick, do you know anything about the 501c4?
Nope.
There's a Dr. Henderson out there that's claiming to get everybody in an ester Esther Trust, and it's a 501c4, and by coming to him and getting your name written in the Book of Life, you're going to be taken care of.
Oh, yeah, right. You're going to be taken care of. He's going to be well taken care of, and you're going to be getting shit.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these people, he has 197, I think he calls it nations, that are coming from everywhere to get in this Esther Trust 501c4. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and basically that's what was foretold, that basically the bankers would try and come at every different avenue that they could to try and take the lawful assets of the people away in the end days.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's doing a good, slick job of it.
Yep. They're bank robbers. Literally, they are bank robbers.
Yeah, he does three calls a week, and people call in and are like just giving him all of their information.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, okay, 2,000 years ago, a guy by the name of Jesus basically held a seminar with 5,000 people, and basically when he went into Jerusalem, basically there wasn't one of them that stood up to support him.
Right. Well, I think he's claiming to be that one back here on earth.
Now, when you speak the truth, basically nobody really wants to hear it because they can't handle it, just like in the movie Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, you can't handle the truth. And he was right on. The people can't handle the real truth.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Primarily because it's too damn simple. They want something that's complicated. Because that's what they've been taught all their life. It's really got to be complicated, or else it ain't going to work.
Okay, so in other words, the pastor of the church is the banker, and the church is the employee, and what's the other one? Or am I wrong?
No.
Come on, chew me out, Patrick. Chew me out.
No, you're right on.
Okay.
So the church is just another bank, okay, just like USA 1, okay? And then the minister basically is operating as a banker in that church, and basically he's got his hand out, or he's got his hand in your back pocket in the process. Just like the regular bank in USA 1.
Okay, so who's the employer?
Well, basically they're all operating under the fraudulent system of what, the local one is basically a branch office, and then you've got the main headquarters, like in the Roman Catholic Church out there, and going back to the Pope that was sitting in there as the fraudulent white Pope, and really the jure Pope is the church for the Church of Rome is the one that's in black. At least that's the way I sort of take it. I may be backwards, but basically that's why this Pope that we've got right now is a Jesuit Pope, and he's and when he was wearing his black, I think he made different statements compared to when he was wearing his white robe. And several people have already sort of identified that in the process. I don't know what color he was wearing that he made the statement in Pennsylvania about all the prisoners in jail there, that their remedy was to be found in the prison chapel. In other words, go and get your baptismal certificate. Have your sins forgiven.
Is there a certain time of the month that they do baptisms, or can you just walk in and just get baptized? I can go to my archdiocese.
Yeah, you just call up and basically tell them, hey, I need to get baptized. Basically sort of watch the movie, Oh Brother, where art thou, or whatever it was, okay? And basically they were having a big dunking ceremony down at the river, and these two convicts, basically, they said they were going to go get baptized. Well, basically, the other guy, he didn't go along with it. Yeah, they just got in line and basically got baptized. But you can get it done at any point in time. There's always somebody out there willing to baptize you. Just make sure it's a church that has a record of the baptism, so that basically, if need be, they give you a certificate of baptism, and then the courts or whoever can go and verify, if need be, that was a valid baptism, a recorded baptism.
Yeah, I noticed that the churches have chapels. I'm wondering if you can go, I mean, not the churches, the hospitals have chapels.
Yeah, you can get baptized in there in the hospital if you need be, if you're still alive.
Okay.
It only takes a cup of water or something like that to throw over your head and say, okay, I baptize thee in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. You're three persons.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. It's been a great...
Patrick, can you tell me one more time, how do we get the ecclesiastic individual number?
The individual banker's EIN number?
Yes.
Basically, I've got my template summary sheet up there on the site. Okay? And you have to go, well, it's either on the eConcurrent site, okay, under Divine, under the files, and I think Tom has a folder there that talks about SS4s, okay? And the file name is basically my example, summary sheet example for the individual banker. And so when you get to, you go online and you fill out the do the SS4 with the IRS online filing. Make sure it's irs.gov and not any of these other fraudulent places that are going to charge you $100, $200 to get an EIN number. Okay? The IRS is not going to charge you anything. And then you go in and fill it out. When you get to the summary sheet, you compare the summary sheet that you have to what I have, and if they don't match up, you back out and start over again. But you're coming in as a unincorporated, non-profit organization.
And for the address, can you put down a P.O. box?
You should have a domicile address of where you're living.
Okay.
You don't live in a box in the post office.
It's an unincorporated nonprofit organization or individual.
Yeah, you're an unincorporated nonprofit organization. Society, however you want to put it, okay? I don't think it has society on there because that's what old George Washington basically tried to make sure that basically the ecclesiastical societies were protected, and if they weren't, he wasn't going to sign the Constitution. That's in one of those documents that I had posted up there. The guy was missing a couple key items in the thing, but he was damn close to having everything right in his document. That's the problem. Some of these people don't understand the full banking process and that everything out here is about banking. Okay, anybody else?
I did find close to $2,000 in the trash.
See? It's laying out there.
In a matter of, I say, 45 minutes tops.
How many tickets did you buy on the lotto today?
Well, actually, I have a man saving $500 a week for me.
You're the one that's trying to build up that damn $1 billion lotto ticket, huh?
Yes.
When you've got $1 billion capable of going right into the Federal Reserve Bank, just go and start collecting all those damn little receipts.
And I didn't even have to go in the garbage. I found most of them on the floor or on the counter. You know, people just dropping their receipts. I'm like, gee whiz. And you go to some good places, you know, each receipt is like $30, $40.
Yeah, gas stations. I mean, basically, normally the people get the damn thing out of the machine at the gas pump, and basically they just water it up and throw it right in the damn garbage can.
Mm-hmm. What do you do about receipts that, because I have some other receipts that I had at home, and they kind of rubbed off?
Well, see, that's the thing, okay? In a lot of these cases, the paper that these receipts are printed out on is only the ink, and the paper will only hold the ink for about 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Got wax on them, like.
Yeah, and basically that's part of the banking fraud system, so that they are trying to prevent you from claiming those assets.
Okay.
That's what the bankers are trying to do, so that they can claim the shit. They're the ones that control the printing presses of those items that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
They control a lot more than just the news media in the process. The bankers control the drug industry and the insurance industries and everything else, all to defraud you, because you are the source. And they hate your living guts.
Patrick, I have a question. Okay, I already sent in the first letter with the, you know, all the information about the baptism and all of that. So if I want to go ahead and get together and compile some more receipts and do letter 2 to claim, you know, to claim those receipts, I would need to resend everything I sent in the first letter. Would I? Again?
Not necessarily, okay? You wait and see whether you get a response back from that first one to where you are now acknowledged in the process. And if not, you're going to basically have to go to that ecclesiastical court and put your paperwork in there so that the court recognizes you.
Okay.
Okay? And then basically you can claim that these other people are defrauding you in the process.
Okay.
But you also inform the inspector generals that you put something in, and basically you have not gotten the settlement back from them, so that you are now claiming the fraud that they are holding those instruments in fraud and depriving you of your assets.
Okay.
Social Security Inspector General is a good one to go to first off, because basically you're coming in most cases, against the Social Security account that you have in that Federal Reserve Bank. Right. You're the owner of it, okay? Right. You're not the beneficiary. And see, that's part of the fraud. Just like they didn't put "we the people" in front of the Reserve Bank, they put the word federal. And most people have shied away thinking that the federal is the fraudulent system of government in this country. No. The fraudulent one is the national government, the national state that's out here. The one that's not operating under the Constitution, that's operating in total violation of the Constitution and the 14th Amendment. Okay, anybody else?
Thank you.
Okay, Tom, call tonight. Tom, you still with us?
He's probably on mute. Thanks, Patrick.
Okay.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yep.
Thank you.
Tom.
Thanks, Patrick.
Tom, unmute yourself. Guess he fell asleep. Well, you guys will just have to trim off the last, because I'm calling it a night. So if you guys want to stay on the line and talk some amongst yourself, go ahead. But I'm off the line. Okay, you guys have a good night. Bye.
Pastor, you coming back Sunday, right?
We'll see.
Please, please, pretty please.
I may not be alive.
No, you will be.
You will. You will. You've been alive for a long time.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of this life. I may just call it quits.
No,
we'll talk to you later. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Fuck.
Is there?
Is anybody there? Hello? Hello?
I think just about everybody hung up with me and you.
Oh. Hi, me, you. I just posted the Russian Orthodox Church ecclesiastical information for the ecclesiastical courts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just found it. It's from Russia, but it gives it in English an overview of the different courts, and the Supreme Court and the General Ecclesiastical and the Bishop's Council shall be the Ecclesiastical Court of Final Appeal. and the Court of the Bishops' Council, functioning as part of the local council shall be the first and last instance for dogmatic and canonical deviations in the work of Patriarch of Moscow, whatever. The Bishops' Council shall exercise legal proceedings in accordance with provision for the Ecclesiastical Court. And it gives 29 different points on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
well,
I just...
That's are you Russian Orthodox?
No, it's just the only thing I could find that said anything about the Ecclesiastical Court, except for that one that's only been around for about, I don't know, I'm guessing, I think it was about 5 or 6 years, and they're using the thing with the birth certificate and the Indians, and I honestly, something about it just doesn't seem, I think it's a fraudulent site.
Okay.
And, yeah. But I may be wrong. I don't know. I just think it is just kind of that gut feeling. There's a lot of good information, and it refers to the Word and all that kind of stuff, but then there's other things that just, they don't jive.
Right.
So, I don't know.
There's also canon law, and there's all these other sources, so I don't think it's, you know. And then another thing, that's the specific court rules for that court.
Mm-hmm.
We have to consider that when we go in there, that the judge can't legislate from the bench. The judge has to give us what we want, because, you know, if you go to, you know, simply, you know, just pop into, you know, the first page of the Bible, you know, we're told that God has dominion over the earth and over the beasts, and you know, the crows and seed-bearing plants and all that. And there's nobody else to show up and say that you can't.
Yeah, but no man's supposed to have dominion over another man. So, you know, whoever, you know, they tried to do it, which is a complete contradiction, which is why, for myself, I'm not comfortable about, I was not baptized in a church or anything like that, and got papers like they're all talking about. And I'm not going to go to the very thing that is total contradiction, to even if it is with the all caps. I'm just going to say correct the record. Just correct the record, period. You know?
Well, you know, it's the thing you have to look at is the fact that that without that you can't prove that you're allowed to use the ecclesiastical court, because the ecclesiastical court is only for ecclesiastical bodies, and you're not an ecclesiastical body unless you've been baptized. Like I'm actually going through this with a friend who could potentially lose his driver's license, and I'm like, just go get baptized, and he's like, no, I want to fight him, but he doesn't know what to do, and I'm like, look, you'll definitely win if you just go get baptized. It's, you know, it's no big deal. They want you to be baptized, and really what you're doing is you're accepting, you know, the rules of right and wrong. Like, do you not believe that you should love thy neighbor as you love thyself?
But I don't need to get that approval for someone to say, I don't need a system, a man-made system, to say that that's the case. I can use live witnesses, blood-related and otherwise, to say, this is who I am, this is how long I've been on this earth.
Who are they? Are these people that are under the Constitution?
They would. I can do both. They could do what?
You need to be able. You need this from a body that stands over the Constitution.
Agreed.
Because on for the record, if those people go up and they say, yes, she's definitely alive, and I prove it, and they give that parole evidence as such, you know, they're going to write their name in all capital letter, and they're just going to ignore it because they have no authority over the court. You see, the Church of Rome has authority over these courts. These judges are priests. These judges are priests in the black robe, you know, and you want them to be a priest for you, therefore they have to put on the white robe.
Right.
So,
I mean, I see the argument partly.
But you have no way to stand over them, and they won't. They'll just recognize that as, you know, as the same word. You know, somebody comes in and says, "Hey, they're alive," and then they have a witness to say, "Hey, look at the way their name is spelled. They're dead." and you have to get out of that jurisdiction. The whole thing is to get out of that fictional, fraudulent jurisdiction. When you go into an ecclesiastical court, nobody can come in. It's like your rules of evidence. How many rules of evidence are there that you need to learn that they can, pull all this crap on you? And these judges they'll just use a word that you've never heard of, and it'll stump you because they're trying to shut you up. They don't want you to know that they don't want everyone else in the court to know that they think that you're dead. So they'll just tell us some crazy stuff. I don't know if you ever actually tried this. I don't know if you've been in a court to try to prove that you're alive. It doesn't work.
I was in court before for quite a while, a private matter, not criminal or anything like that. But I'll
tell you what, I was in court a lot, like just traffic stuff. When I turned 18, when I was like about 18, I had 16 court debuts for for traffic tickets. And I beat everything down to I didn't get any points at all after those 16 appearances, and I won some, and I, bartered and got them to reduce them to, non-points violations, but still they took my money. They made a fool of me, and they violated, my rights under the Declaration of Independence. Maybe you could do an acceptance of the Declaration of Independence and do all that stuff and all that paper, but then still your adversary, the state, the county the cop, whatever, they can still come after you. But if you go into a jurisdiction where they're not allowed, where they have no standing, you've won.
I agree, but if you take your law in there, which is the word, and it's theirs too, because they say that they've accepted it here in the quote unquote states, then and you go in there with that and you're in the right one, what are they going to do? You're alive, you're bringing that court in and saying, everybody else, see you later.
Yeah. Well, you could get them on banking fraud. You could go into a Article 3 court and do an involuntary bankruptcy, but that's war.
Yeah. You're gonna put somebody out of the job. I don't even think we really even have to go into court. I think if you do the paperwork and get things in and just say, look, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And
so that
then
yeah.
Well, if something comes up after that and you have to go, you've already put your, where you stand on. You've given them notice. I'm not even going to say you've recorded it or filed it. You've given them notice. And if you want to do it verbally or otherwise, whatever. If you want to go talk to a bishop or something and just say, look, this is me. I'm here. I'm alive. Sign here. Sign here. You see me here alive and I'm the living and I no longer blah, blah, blah. You're over them even then. Or you're not even over them. You're on equal ground as them because they can't have authority over you.
I'd bring that up with Patrick because he knows better than me. Hey, I hate to say it. I have to go. My wife's calling in on the other line. She should have been home from work already. So I'm going to give her a buzz.
Okay.
Hey, take care. Good luck.
You too. Bye-bye.